Hello! Hi, and welcome back to Narcissu Side Second. The last time we were together was kind of a half and half deal there. We went out on what I will call, it was a cute little date. A little date with Himeko. She wanted to buy Setsumi some clothes. It was very cute. And then we got doused in even more reality when Setsumi went home and found that her mom had burned her hands to make the fries that she doesn't like. So it's rough. But the interesting part is that we started that adventure last time with Himeko wanting to go somewhere, not really being able to do so because they saw members of the hospital staff and a couple of doctors milling about. So she wasn't able to do what she wanted to do, which was apparently an item on the list. But I'm kind of left with some thoughts about maybe she did that on purpose, because I think maybe she just wanted an excuse to go out and do something like a normal girl, just do some shopping and all that. And maybe that's like the thing that was on her list. Why she wouldn't just say that directly, I don't know. Himeko has been, a bit of a weird cookie throughout this story. She is one whose motives aren't always 100% on her sleeve. So we're gonna find out what happens after all of that. The title of this chapter is Catholic, so I can only assume we're going to be boring pretty deep now into like what are the religious ties going to be here, because obviously Catholicism, her religion, play some role in Himeko's life. She seems really dodgy about it. Like, I imagine that somebody who is near the end of life may kind of be having some last minute thoughts about something like that. And I also kind of feel like maybe that's also the rift between her and her sister. It's real complicated, and I don't know why I've wasted 3 minutes sitting here spitballing about it. And then the days after, before I noticed, it was already entering mid-August. Nothing had particularly changed, and as always, I was headed to Himeko-san's place.
Setsumi-san.
Setsumi-san. Hearing a voice I recognized, I turned around, and the girl I had met before was there.
確かHimeko-sanの。
Ah, you were Himeko-san's...
ええ、妹の千尋です。
Yes, I'm her younger sister Chihiro. As always, she spoke in a calm, well-mannered, gentle way. Unlike Himeko-san, if she, Chihiro-san, were said to be a helper or a Catholic, one wouldn't really be all that surprised. Today, unlike the usual aproned form seen at the hospital, she was in a white, cute one-piece dress that I thought was somehow her.
もしかしてこれから行くところ?
Are you perhaps going there from here?
うん。千尋さんも。
Are you too?
いえ、私は先に寄るところがあるから。
No, I have a place to go first.
そうだ。もしよかったら節美さんも一緒に来る?
Ah, that's right. If it's all right, Setsumi-san, would you come along with me? I didn't know what was going on, but I continued walking behind Chihiro-san. Under the blazing sky, the two of us walked side by side along the street. Unlike Himeko-san, Chihiro-san spoke rarely. But somehow, she was a person with an air about her, where just from being with her, one could feel at ease. And then, a little before the hospital, she turned left at an intersection where I normally didn't go. And at some point, as the area turned into a quiet residential neighborhood,
そこを曲がったところよ。
look, it's there on the bend. Yeah, I had a feeling we were going to be heading to the church. The rolling sound of bells, what appeared before me was a large church. From long ago, I knew there had been a church nearby, but this is the first time I'd ever come to it.
ちなみに、隣の白い建物が私の家なの。
Oh, and by the way, the white building next to it is my house. Saying that, what she pointed out was a pretty house that gave off a serene feeling. The tall, ivy-colored fence gave off a Western atmosphere. It was probably obvious, but this being Chihiro-san's home meant that it was also Himeko-san's home. And then, following her urgings, I stepped into the church. The first church I'd entered. Streaming from windows, dazzling bright light, and vividly colored stained glass. It was the first time I'd visited here, and I felt that it was very beautiful. Peaceful. Was that the word? The polar opposite of glaring gaudiness might have felt like this. But there's no one around, is there? Yes, because no one comes at this time. With just that answer, Chihiro-san approached what looked like the altar. Then from her pocket, she took out what resembled Buddhist prayer beads and quietly brought her hands together. This was a thing called prayer. On TV, I've seen that the fingers were folded together, but this was like praying at a temple on New Year's, but with just the hands brought together. And the things she took out of her pocket, at first I had thought that they were Buddhist beads, but looking carefully, it was a rosary. To me, everything was so fresh and new. This was, of course, the first time I'd seen any of this. Hey, would you pray with me too? That's always been weird. You always get in that situation where you were like somewhere and somebody wants to lead prayer and you're like, I don't know, maybe I'm the odd one out here. But you just kind of like bow your head and close your eyes, or just bow your head anyway, because it's just like, oh, well, I don't want to look like a jerk. Me? It's all right. Yes, it's not like offering a prayer requires some special rite. But what should I pray for? That's for each person, their freedom. Once again, bringing her hands together, Chihiro-san quietly closed her eyes. Imitating her, I put my hands together in the same way. In the soundless place, closing my eyes, it felt everything dissolved into nothingness. However, I felt that it wasn't a fear instilling dark and emptiness, but a clear white that spread everywhere. But what in the world should I pray for, I wonder? Chihiro-san said that I was free to choose, but for me, what I should be praying for was a difficult thing. Next to myself, I could hear the small whispers of Chihiro-san's voice, so small I couldn't make out the words. But I felt sure that she was praying for Himeko-san. By that so very seriously praying figure, I felt my reasoning wasn't that far off. Once again, my eyes opened after some time. Well, just 30 seconds worth. When I looked next to me, Chihiro-san also seemed to be finishing up her praying. Say, you're a Catholic person, right? Yeah, that's right. Well, Catholic person is a bit strange way of saying it. Then your sister, Himeko-san, is different? She says she's a fake Catholic and denies it, but as far as I know, she is a very devoted Christian. In her usual kind of way of speaking, she answered. From the Himeko-san that I knew, I couldn't imagine it, but none other than the younger sister Chihiro-san said so. So it must be as she said. Well then, shall we leave? Chihiro-san walked toward the entrance that we had come from. When I walked after her in the same way, suddenly her feet stopped and she turned around.
あ、そうだ。
That's right.
せつみさん、こっち向いて。
Setsumi-san, face this way.
Huh?
When I wondered what she was going to do, she once again placed her hands
あ
together.
なたの上に主の豊かな恵みと祝福があ
May
り
the
ますよ
bountiful blessings and grace of the Lord be upon you.
私のために。
For my sake?
もちろん私は司祭様
Of
じゃない
course,
から
I'm not a
気持ちだけ
priest,
だけどね
so it's just the sentiment. After that, we left the church, and in front of the hospital, we parted. For me, it had all been new
教
experiences.
会やカトリックのことは
Churches and Catholics. I don't really know much about them. All I knew was that I had reconfirmed that Chihiro-san was a very kind and good person. And also that Himeko-san, that acted so coldly to her, was apparently a devoted Catholic like her. Ding! Slightly late, I came to the usual place. But for some reason, I couldn't find Himeko-san in the hospital room, or even the lab. I'd probably out for tests and stuff. I mean, I have to imagine that on the 7th floor, you probably still get taken for tests and stuff. I wonder where she went. Ah, if you're looking for Himeko-san, she's in the courtyard. As I peered around, a nurse passing by spoke to me. It's hot, so tell her not to overdo things.
分かった
When I looked, Himeko-san was in the middle of watering the
おはよ
flowers.
うせつみ今日も暑いわね
Morning, Setsumi. It's hot today too, isn't it? As she spoke, she held a hose single-handedly and was spraying the flowers with vigor. However, her outfit was the usual pajamas and slippers. And then maybe to defend against sunstroke, on her head, she wore a straw hat. That image was oddly comical and yet mysteriously seemed just like Himeko-san. Yeah, I was gonna say, if anybody's gonna be out on the front lawn, you know, spraying water on it, watering the lawn with in their pajamas with a straw hat on, that she is absolutely the one that I see doing that. To that Himeko-san, I pointed to the place we planted the bulbs the other day.
もう芽が出てくるの
Have shoots come out already?
そんなに早くは無理よ
It's impossible for it to happen that soon. Then she showed me a carefree smile. She had been called a devoted Catholic, but for her to have an air like Chihiro-san had praying in the church, at least to me, was unimaginable.
ここは荒野だから花が咲くのよ
The wilderness and the dry land shall be glad. The desert shall rejoice and blossom. Huh?
盛んに花を咲かせ喜び喜んで歌う
Like the crocus, it shall blossom abundantly and rejoice with joy and
知っ
singing.
てるイザヤ書の言葉よ
Know it? They're words from the book of Isaiah. I shook my head. I didn't really know, but it was probably from some kind of scripture. Just now, as I was having that thought, Himeko-san's sudden words surprised me. And then, while I was thinking about that... Ooh, it's hot today, isn't it? From somewhere came a nurse. Someone I hadn't seen before. It seemed like someone from a floor I didn't know. Thank you very much, Himeko-san.
ああついでに他の花にも水あ
Ah,
げといた
while I
か
was
ら
at it, I watered the other flowers too. So which is better? I was thinking of taking some...
なんかよ
For which floor? The 3rd floor's X-ray waiting
じ
room.
ゃあ鉢植えでもいいわね
Well, then a potted plant would be fine, right? As she spoke, she scooped out a number of yellow and white pansies and moved them to a plastic bag. Thank you very much. I'll be going then. Taking the plastic bag into her hands, the nurse disappeared into the building once more. On leaving, her hands made a cross. Maybe that nurse was also a Catholic? And I didn't really understand it, but it seemed that this flower bed, Himeko-san could plant and pick as she pleased. I believed not because she was a resident of the 7th floor, but because in this hospital, she seemed to be officially recognized.
今の看護婦さんも
Is the nurse right now? Was she another acquaintance?
ええ、他にも知り合いは大勢いるわよ。
Yeah, there are lots of other acquaintances too. Being a former helper, I had heard being a former words, man. Words. Like, why? Like, you can't read out loud. Why do you choose to play games where you got to read a lot of words out loud? I've been doing this now for like 6 years. You'd think I'd be good at it at some point. Being a former helper, I had heard about, but did this come about just from that alone? Thinking about how this was a Christian hospital, and then how she had been called a devoted Catholic earlier, I had been feeling like there was a link.
何よ、その不思議そう
What?
な顔は。
What's with the mystified face?
別に何か権限をもらってるわけじゃない
It's
わ
not
よ。
like I've been given any sort of power.
私は元ヘルパー。今は7階の
I'm a
住人
former helper, now a resident of the 7th
た
floor.
だちょっとキャリアが長かったからそれなりに顔が利くって程度よ。
It's just my career had been a bit long, so my face is known, that's all. As she added that while she was my age, she had come in and out of here often. From those words, being a long career didn't simply mean being a helper. Yeah, I kind of figured as much. Now that she mentioned it, she'd once said that Catholics were involved in various public welfare activities. Looking at it like that, it was probably just as Chihiro said. Himeko-san might be a devout Christian.
どうしたの？まだなんか聞きたいの？
What's wrong? Was there still something you wanted to ask?
どうして姫子さんはお祈りとかしないの？
Why doesn't Himeko-san pray or anything?
お祈り？この私が？
Pray? Me?
だって敬虔なクリスチャンなんでしょ？
Well, you're a devoted Christian, right?
そうね。エセカトリックが気に入らないな
Well,
ら
let's see. If you don't like fake Catholic,
元クリスチャン
former Christian would work too. That would mean that in the past it was true, but now it wasn't.
じゃあもうお祈りすることはないの？
Then you don't pray anymore?
ないわ。
Nope. Firmly denied.
ついでに言わせてもらうとさ、
And while I'm at it, let me say,
祈りがあるってことは
if there is a prayer,
呪い
then
があ
there
るっ
is
てこ
also
と
a
だと
curse.
思わない？
Don't you think? I didn't really get it. Being suddenly asked such a question, I couldn't gather any thoughts. And there was a problem that I didn't know the difference between prayers and curses.
で、それよりも明日行こうと思うんだけど。
And besides that, I've been thinking about going tomorrow.
ほら、この前は無理だったでしょ？
Remember, we couldn't that time before. Did she mean the thing about the pineapple tree? In the end, we went to just before the station that day, but gave up and came back. She had said we'd go again at a later date, but,
どうやって行く
well,
の？
how are we going?
大丈夫だって。
It's
お姉さん
fine,
に
you
任
just
せなさい。
leave it to me.
とりあえずせっかくだからお弁当忘れないようにね。
Anyway, since we're going out, don't forget to pack lunch. What kind of mischief are we gonna get up to? As the sun was slowly setting, once again today, the two of us sat around the dinner table.
明日はお弁当2人？
Tomorrow? Lunch for two?
いいかな？
Yes, is that okay? Because tomorrow I was going to go out with Himeko-san. I tried asking for a lunch for two. However, even though my health had been good lately, if Mother said no, I was planning on giving up on the idea.
やっぱり
I guess not.
もうそんなわけないで
Of
しょ。
course I can.
お母さん張り切って
Your
作ってあ
mom will
げるわ
put
よ。
extra effort into them for you. Instead of worrying about me, Mother simply gave her okay. In fact, she seemed even happier than usual.
ねえ、そのお友達の姫子さんって何か苦手な
So your
ものがあった
friend
かしら？
Himeko-san, are there things she doesn't like?
ブロッコリー。
Broccoli.
わかったわ。
Got it.
じゃ
Then
あ
I'll make sure
それは
not to
言わ
put
ない
any
よう
in.
にしてそうそう。今度よかったらうちにも遊びに来てもらい
Oh,
なさい
yes,
よ。
next time, if it's fine with her, get her to come home to play. well, Mom. Well. Falling back into bed, I let out a big sigh. I'm sure that Mother thinks that Himeko-san was a normal hospital patient. Or a nurse. At the very least, she wasn't thinking that it was someone from the 7th floor. The fries were like this. Himeko-san was also like this. The happier Mother got,
私は心苦しかった。
my heart hurts.
これが罪悪感と呼ばれるものだろうか。
Was this what they call the sense of guilt? Okay. Right, we are gonna go say hi to that pineapple tree now. Let's go! At a slightly earlier time than usual, I headed to the hospital. The lunches in the tote bag in my hand numbered 2. Since it was hot, Mother also prepared a frozen water bottle for me. I wasn't sure how far we were going, but I was pretty sure she spoke about going all the way to the ocean. Yeah, we're gonna go have a nice, fun beach trip.
せつみさん。
Ah, Setsumi-san.
千尋さん。
Chihiro-san.
実は探していたの。
To be honest, I was looking for you. And from her pocket, she took something out and offered it to me.
これ、お姉ちゃんに渡してもらえるか
This.
な。
Could you give it to One-chan for me?
キー。
A key? What I accepted was a shining silver key.
もしかして車の
Is this for a car?
裏の駐車場に止めてるって言えばわかると思う。
Yes. If you tell her it's parked in the rear parking lot, I think she'd understand.
じゃあお願いね。
So could you do that for me, please? With those final words, once again, Chihiro-san rushed off somewhere. Couldn't be. I didn't think she was planning on going by car, but... Or maybe there was someone else to drive? As I wondered about it, I went to Himeko-san as I was told. Ding! Peeking into the lounge and seeing that she wasn't there, I headed to the hospital room.
おはよう。今日は早い
Good
わね。
morning! You're early today!
そう言われてたから。
That's what I was told to do.
あとこれ。渡して
And
くれ。
this, I was told to hand this over. As I answered, I showed her the key that I was given
あり
earlier.
がとう。じゃあ行きましょう
Thanks.
か。
So shall we go? As if it were perfectly natural, Himeko-san took the key. Was she really planning on going by car? We came to the parking lot. Since it was just the time in the morning when outpatients came in, the area near the entrance was packed with cars. And then, walking a while in the parking lot as we came to the farthest part, there it is.
久しぶりね。
It's been a while. It's roadster time, baby. Let's go. Girl, you are about to ride in style with the coolest girl on the planet. You need to enjoy this. She stopped in front of one car, a red-colored open top. However, that car, as far as I could see, was made for 2. At that point, the theory that there was some other driver vanished.
いい車です。
So, pretty cool car, huh?
そんなことより車に乗っていいの？
Never mind that. Like, is it okay to drive?
法的にはね。
Legally, sure. That wasn't what I meant, though.
危ないわよ。
It's dangerous.
事故ればね。
If we crash, yeah.
もう大丈
Oh,
夫
it'll be
だって。
fine. I
分かってる
know
から
already, okay?
これでも自分の体のことは自分が一番よく分かってるって。
Even like this, I'm telling you, I know about my own body more than anyone else. Even if you say that, I don't know how much how much trust I can put in
あ
it.
のね、私だって本当に危ないと思ってて
Look,
乗らないのよ
even I wouldn't drive if I thought it would be really dangerous.
本当に。
Really?
ええ、道路は私一人で走ってるわけじゃ
Yes,
ないんだ
the
から
roads
さ。
aren't just me driving by myself after all. You know what? There you go. Girl is... Damn, Himeko's a good person. Wouldn't go drunk driving. Not gonna drive knowing that her heart could stop at any second. Good girl. Too many people don't know that, or just don't even stop to think that it's also other people. And after saying that, Himeko-san quickly got into the car.
どうするのよ。シートが片側
So what are you gonna do? There's a seat empty on one side here.
分かったわよ。
Right already. Let's go do some drifting. Let's go do some donuts. Let's go. Let's live life a little. Raising a light engine noise, the red top started running. The red open top. There we go. I thought that read weird. Moving from the usual familiar streets past the neighborhood supermarket I occasionally went to, passing 3 intersections in moments, we suddenly went onto a large road. But I wonder just where in the world was she planning on going? Before, she said that it was about 2 hours by train, so I think it'd be quite a distance, but as I thought that, I sat next to her and stared at the view. Wah!
ああ、ごめん、揺れた。
Sorry, did I jolt you?
ちょっと。
Yeah, a bit.
うわ、
Hey, wow!
少し辛抱してね。
Bear with me a bit. It's been a long time since I've driven, so just until I get my senses back. Before it came to that, I thought her driving felt rough. In reality, she probably wasn't going that fast, but maybe because there was no roof, even the slightest swerve was extremely scary.
もうちょっとゆっくり。
Say, a bit slower.
なんか言った？
Hey, did you say something? Nothing. This is like me when I was 17 in the back of a car and someone was driving 110 miles per hour and I was just like, hey, do you want to kind of maybe slow it down? They didn't hear me, and then we careened off of the road and almost hit a tree, so that was fun times. We broke an axle and nobody was injured, but yeah, I never rode with that dude again. I decided to quietly grip the seatbelt tightly. My hair was going to be a disaster from the wind, so I'll live with that. Already, the sight of me desperately gripping the seatbelt with both hands might have been a bit ridiculous looking.
あれ？節見何やってるの？
Setsumi, what are you doing?
私のことは
Don't worry
気
about
に
it.
しないで。
Don't worry about it. I'm not freaking out. I'm not freaking out. I'm not freaking out. I'm not freaking out. Around a wind, if you looked around, the scenery was changing from being in the city to a beautiful green, and Himeko-san had finally regained her driving sense, or maybe I was the one who had just gotten used to that driving. In either case, it got to the point where we could calmly talk.
どう？オープンも悪くないでしょ。
So, open tops aren't that bad, huh?
風が気持ちいい。
Yeah, the wind just feels good.
そうそう。この自然との一体感がいいの
Yeah,
よね。
yeah, this feeling of being one with nature feels great, doesn't it? Certainly, I didn't think so in the city, but here in the middle of this natural place, it felt very liberating and nice. And even as we spoke about this, cars driving in the next lane were constantly passing us. At first, I thought that Himeko-san's driving was scary, but it seemed like she was really driving pretty safely.
これ、なんて車？
This is what sort of car?
あら、車に興味ある
Oh,
の？
you're interested in cars?
別に、そういうわけじゃないけど。
Not particularly, it's not that, but there wasn't any deep meaning behind the question, just for no real reason I wanted to know.
ユーノス、ロードスターよ。
Yunos, Roadster.
もしかして、すごい車なの？
Is it an amazing car?
うん。そんなに驚くほどじゃないよ。
Nothing to be surprised
た
about.
だ、私が好きってだけで、エアコンもナビもない。
Just
古臭いか
that
ら
I like it, and it doesn't have air conditioning or a navigation system. It's an old car. And then Himeko-san taught me many things about the car. How it was the first generation NA model, what the power-weight ratio was. She continued talking as best she could about technical things.
86に抜かれた。
Hey, an AE86 just passed us. That is a Toyota Corolla. As she spoke, she pointed at one car passing in the next
あ
lane.
いつに抜かれるとなぜか悔しいのよね。
Getting passed by that It somehow makes you feel angry, doesn't it? And then Himeko-san continued on about midship layouts and rotary engines, always passionately talking about those mysterious things. Le Mans was some kind of desert, I think. Le Mans was some kind of dessert, I think. Of course, for me, I had no clue what they were. But Himeko-san really loved cars and that made itself clear even to me.
でも変ね。
But it's strange.
何が
What is?
思ってたよりしっかり走るわ。長い間ほったらかしだった割にはね。
It's running better than I thought it would, considering that for a long time it had been untouched. The roadster continued on, its red hood reflecting the summer sky as it ran. Wonder if Chihiro's like just, doing routine maintenance on it, making sure that it's not like, sitting there. She probably takes it out for a spin every now and again. Changes the oil, rotates the tires, just does all of the normal maintenance stuff you do on a car. And if you looked up, the sun that had been behind us was coming right overhead. We passed through the long, long mountain road, and then before our eyes spread the sea.
どう？いい景色でしょ。
Well, isn't it a great view? It looks like Outrun, baby! We're playing Outrun! Let's go! We're gonna do all rights. We're gonna go right at every checkpoint. I think that's the hardest route through Outrun. I can't remember now. Outrun's a good time. They should bring back Outrun 2, and then they should make an Outrun 3 that is just equally as good as Outrun 2. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it that everybody wanted to know. A shoreline that continued endlessly, summer sunlight that sparkled and reflected off the emerald waves. Far away swaying pine groves, distant voices of seagulls, and then what could be seen along the sides of the road were many phoenix palms. Himeko-san said they were something like pineapple trees, and as she had mentioned before, each and every one of them was big.
ここが目的地。
This is our destination?
ええ。もう間もなくよ。少し行ったところに
Yeah, in a
でき
few
る場所ある
moments.
から
There's a spot I've been to a few times before where there's a place we can stop. Okay, we're here. Along the road running parallel to the sea was a shoulder that seemed to be for emergency stopping. There was space for 2 or 3 cars to stop, but since there was no traffic, it wasn't likely that another car would come. Stopping the car in that area, we got out of the car.
ねえ、缶ジュース何がいい？
Hey, what canned juice do you want?
レモンティー。
Lemon tea.
了解。ちょっと待っててね。
Roger, wait just a sec.
はい。お待たせ。
Here you go. Mixed with the crashing of waves, the quick sound of pull tabs rang out. And then Himeko-san, facing the sea with her hand on her hip. Oh, just kind of throwing it all back. As if coming out of the bath and drinking a milk, she gulped down the orange juice in one go. And for no real reason, I also put my hand on my hip and tried gulping down my lemon tea in one go. That's really cute. Then we walked towards the sea spread out before our eyes.
ここは綺麗なところね。
This is a beautiful place, isn't it?
ええ。私
Yeah,
はちょっとしたお気に入り
It's a spot I
スポット
kind
だ
of
よ
like, I suppose.
以前にもよく来ていたの。
You came here often before?
そうでもないけど、たまにはね。
Not really. Just once in a while.
もともとは偶然発見したんだけどさ。
Well, originally I came across it by chance anyway.
偶然。
By chance?
だってほら、あの車ってナビないでしょ。
Well, you see, this car's got no navigation system,
だ
right?
から最初は適当
So
に
the first time I
走
just
ってて気づいたの
drove around and got here. As she answered, Himeko-san's face was just a little different from usual. It was somehow lonely, somehow nostalgic, a complicated kind of face.
さてと、それよりも目的だった
All
よ
right,
ね。
instead of that, we had a goal, right? Just as what she said registered, she began rummaging through the trunk of the car. Then, taking out a small saw-like object, she started walking toward a large phoenix palm by the roadside. Did she really mean to cut one? Hey,
それは何よ。
what's that?
あら、弓の子って知らない？本来は金属切断用だけど。
Oh, you don't know about hacksaws? They're really made for cutting metals, but they can cut well.
そうじゃなくて、何をす
I
る
didn't
つもり？
mean that. I mean, like, what do you plan on doing?
もちろん切るのよ。
Obviously,
ちょび
cutting.
っと5センチくらい。
I got just a little, 5 centimeters worth. As she spoke, she placed the hacksaw against the phoenix palm. I had a feeling it was better to stop, but just how serious Himeko-san herself was, I didn't know. Or maybe if it was just 5 centimeters, didn't matter so much. I wonder if she's like, just kind of like leaving a mark somewhere. I wonder if that's kind of like what's going on here. As I worried about these things alone,
やっぱりやめた。
yeah, I think I'll stop. Saying that, she once again returned the hacksaw to the trunk of the car. Phew, she decided to give up? Or had she not been serious from the start?
まだ人目があるから、もう少し
There's
暗
still
くなって
eyes
からにする
around.
よ。
When it's a bit darker, I'll do it. It's not like she gave up at all. Burning sunlight, moist sea breeze, and the scent of the ocean. Once in a while, a number of seagulls came close. On that kind of beach, the two of us started a late lunch.
あなたのお母さん料理うまいわね。
Oh, your mom's real good at cooking, isn't she?
今日のは特に頑張る。
Because for today, she tried extra hard.
そう。いいお
I
母さん
see.
ね。
What a good mother. Speaking about these things, we ate our lunch, sitting upon the sheet Himeko-san prepared. It was a lunch party where the two of us put on straw hats to keep off the sun. Almost like pigeons in a park. When we gave the seagulls crumbled croquettes, they fiercely snapped them up. Looking at those silly figures, the two of us laughed. This feeling, how long has it been, I wonder? I couldn't help but think about
どうや
that.
らまだ好きだと思っているようね。
Looks like she still thinks she liked them. The words came as she looked at the fries that were always there. At those words, I couldn't help but fall silent. She had said it wasn't kindness. In other words, it probably meant that if I don't like them, then there was a kindness in saying so. Even I understood that. Understood, but reddening her hands, doing it for me, in front of such a happy mother, to say that sort of thing, knowing just how sad it would make her, that much even I knew. Oh. When I looked, Himeko-san was gently patting me on the back. As if calming a crying child, she continued to pat my back.
しょうがないわよ。
Well, there's no helping it.
口で言うほど簡単じゃないからね。
It's not as easy as just saying it after all.
姫子さん。そうね。いつかちゃんと言えるといいわね。
Yeah, it'd be nice if someday you could come out and say it, yeah?
うん。あのね。すごく難しいことだけど。
You know, it's a really hard thing, I bet. It's a really hard thing, but in reality,
わがまま言いまくり
saying a
で
bunch of selfish
ちょうどいい
things
のかもよ。
might just be right, you know? Saying that, she gave me a smile. With her usual cheery face, she gently encouraged me. Wow. Really, 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 really nice moment. Vintage wine. You know what we're doing there. Tell me we're not gonna get Setsumi drunk! Alright. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna call it there. That was a good one. That was a good one. I kind of figured that the car was going to make a, reappearance at some point. Figured that that's probably how we were going to end up going there. So yeah, the fact that like she's kind of she's sharing her entire world with this girl, and I'm seeing more and more. Again, you know, I've said it before, but you're starting to see more and more of how all of this is impressing upon what we know Setsumi to kind of grow into later. Despite the fact that she's very muted in that first game, you can sort of start to see bits and pieces of those pieces of her taking form here. So, yeah. Don't know where we're going from here. I just legitimately don't. But I'm still very, very, very much enjoying I'm very much enjoying the storytelling. So hope you are as well. Thank you so much as always for stopping by. I hope you have a nice rest of your whatever wherever you are. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.